Hello everyone. In this lab, we're gonna study a new loop statement, which gonna be used in C programming language. This statement is called for loop. For loop. First of all, we will learn how the syntax of for loop that should be used in the C language. So the syntax is as follow. Syntax of for loop. Okay. Syntax of for loop. We start by writing keywords of for loop. Open parentheses. For loop is divided into three parts. The first line of for loop is called the for loop header. This header it's divided to three parts. The first part is called initialization or initialize. Okay. Second part is condition, and the third part you can name it as step, as we see in the while loop statement. Then you start your body of loop, and with closed curly braces you close the body of the for loop. Okay. Here we have your code block that will be repeated until this condition evaluated to false. So let's describe how for loop works. At the first, the initial statement or initialize here, this is the first statement to be executed in for loop, and is executed only once. Okay. Next step, it will go to the condition statement or expression. If the condition is evaluated to true, is if the return value of the condition is true, then you will go to the body of your loop. This body of your loop will be evaluated and executed. After that, the second step, it will go to the step part, which gonna be increment, either decrement, as we show in the while loop statement. So the step part may be an increment statement, increment, or decrement statement. Okay. After this step executed, the next one is to go to the condition again. Okay. Suppose this is a step number 4. Step number 5 is here. If you do an increment statement or decrement statement, then the step after that, it will check the condition again. If the test expression or the condition is evaluated to true, it will repeat the code block again. This code block will be repeated several times according to your condition, and it's gonna be skipped if the condition is evaluated to false. Okay, let's brief or summarize what we talk about this step. If this condition evaluated to true, this line of code will be executed. If the condition is evaluated to false, so the whole body of your for loop will be skipped. Okay? Let's take an example. Let's take an example. If you wanna, for example, print your name 10 times. If you wanna to print your name 10 times. So the output will be as following. Your name will be here. 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10. Okay? Suppose your name is, for example, BAU. So BAU will be repeated 10 times. Okay? Will be repeated 10 times. How can we do this task by using for loop? First, you need to specify the initialize expression, where the initialize expression is starting by 1, the step number 1, the step number 2, till step number 10. Okay, so we're gonna initialize by 1. Okay, the initializer will be equal to 1. For example, suppose this initializer is equal to I. Okay, I is represented as an iteration for loop. At I equal 1, you print BAU. At I equal 2, you print BAU. You still iterate until you reach the final value for your iterations is equal to 10. After that, it will skip. Let's try it and write this code. Okay? As we said, we need to print BAU 10 times. This statement will be printed only once. If you try it, let's try to print to execute this statement. Okay, 1 second. As you can see, the output is only BAU. Now we need to repeat this output 10 times by using a loop, a for loop statement. So you need to put this statement inside a line of blocks of codes, and this statement will be repeated according to the loop you decided. For example, we decide to use for loop. At the first, you need to specify the initializer. As we said, we can use I as an initializer or counter. I equal to 1, semicolon. Here I is a new value variable. You need to declare it. We can declare the I inside the for loop. We can say int I equal to 1. Then you need to specify the condition. This statement will be repeated 10 times. Therefore, I less than or equal to 10. Semicolon, we separate this part by semicolons. The final part is the step. Here we have step is an increment step, I++. We increase the value of I by 1. Okay. As we said, this line is called for header of for statement. This is the essential part of for loop. Once you know how to write this line, everything will be okay. Okay, let us show how this statement will be worked, or if you in other words, how the trace will be done. Okay, if you look for inside the memory, you will see you have a variable I. You are already declared a variable I is an integer and initialized by 1. Okay, let's see the condition I less than or equal to 10. Okay, the result of this condition will be either true or false. Okay, so as we said before, the first step is here. I equal to 1 is executed only once. Next, we will go to the condition. Is I less than or equal to 10? I equal to 1. 1 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, the result will be true. As the value of the condition is true, this body will be executed inside the curly bracket. Printf BAU. Now on the screen side, you will see this message, which is BAU. All right. Once the statement executed, the next step will be I++. I++, I increment I by 1. I will be is equal to 2. Next, we will go to the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, true. As this value is true, this body will be executed. Printf BAU. Here we should put after BAU \n to enter a new line. So the second iteration also will be executed and print the BAU message. After that, I++, 3 is also true. Okay, and also BAU will be repeated. The following task will be repeated until 10. 10 is true. The following message will be repeated 10 times, BAU, but we need to specify the final iteration in the memory, which is after printing the last BAU here, the last message of BAU, you need to specify the last step. The last step is I++ is equal to 11. 11 is less than or equal to 10, false. As this condition is false, all this line of code inside the for loop will be skipped and continue your program. Okay, this is an essential and important to specify in your work. Okay, let's try this code and show what is the output for the following line of codes. Debug. Okay, let's show BAU is repeated 10 times. We forgot to write \n inside the printf statement. Let's fix it. \n after the BAU statement. Now your output will be correct. Here we have a printed message. A message on the screen is repeated 10 times by using for loop. You can do several statements inside this for loop as your program request is requested from you to do some task to be repeated. You should specify it inside this body of for loop. Okay. Now let us take another example how to input, for example, 5 numbers or 10 numbers, and these numbers we will it's gonna be calculated for as a total variable, as we took before in the previous tutorial or previous videos. Let us write this code as fast as I can. Here we have another variable called sum to calculate the summation of, for example, 5 numbers. We initialize sum by equal to 0. And we need another variable x for the number itself. And here we need to input, for example, 5 numbers. First, we need to specify to input these numbers. I will ask the user to input an integer. As we know, to input an integer, you need to use a scanf statement. Scanf statement %d, since we have a variable, an integer variable, and x semicolon. At each input a variable of x, directly we will sum this value to the container sum, to the variable sum. So the statement is sum equal sum plus x. Okay. The following statements will be repeated 5 times. You will ask the user to input an integer, which is a variable x. After inputting this integer, you will calculate the sum, which is equal sum plus equal to x. Okay. Once the I is equal to 6, this condition will return a value false, which means this line of codes will be skipped and your code will be continued. So at the end of your code, you will print the result of sum. The result of sum equal %d, comma, sum. Let's try our code, debug. Here we have input an integer, suppose 5, second integer 5, third 5, 10, 5. As you see, the summation of these numbers is equal to 30. Okay. This is all we have to learn about the for loop statement. Okay, guys. Thank you. forward.